Hello everyone, welcome again to this channel. As you all know, this is Jowins Fashion Ville. So today we're learning how to make this beautiful one shoulder asymmetric shift top with a lantern sleeve, and I'll be walking your way through this process in the most simplified way. So guys, if you're stopping for the first time, do not forget to hit on that red subscribe button and the notification bell as well to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Please kindly do this to encourage the growth of this channel. Okay, so guys, without wasting much of your time, let's get started. Okay, so guys, on my work table I have my work materials, which is my tracing wheel, pencil, measuring tape, and every other thing you can see on my table. Okay, so I'll just briefly explain these lines on my pattern. This is the chest line, the shoulder line. Below the chest line there I have the waist line, and then below the waistline I have the full measurement of the blouse. So you depends on the length of your blouse, you could do directly on the hip or below the hip. So the full measurement of my blouse is around 23 inches plus 1 inch seam allowance, which is making it a total of 24 inches. Okay, so what I'll simply do next is to establish my neckline. So I'll be working with 3.5 inches, that is 3.5 by 3.5. So the neck width is 3.5 and the neck depth is 3.5. So I'll simply go ahead to connect the 2 points together. So guys, I'll be using the curvy part of my pattern master to establish the curve on the neckline. Okay, so yeah, this is it here. So I'll simply go ahead to establish my shoulder measurement. We all know that this is a cut together sleeve, but just keep watching, you get to find out the reason for this. Okay, so half of my shoulder measurement is 7.5, and then I'll go ahead to place this 7.5 on my chest line, and then I'll connect the 2 points together like this. Okay, so yeah, I'll just link these 2 points. Okay, then I'll go ahead to establish the length of my sleeve from the shoulder line. Okay, from that shoulder point there. So I'll be working with 17 inches. Okay, so you could do more than that depending on how much of your lantern sleeve you want to achieve. Okay, so for me 17 inches is fine. So I'm going to add extra 5 inches to that 17 inches to give me that bouncy effect of my lantern sleeve. Okay, so I'll go ahead to use my measuring tape to get the accurate measurement from the neckline to that point there where the sleeve ends. Okay, so that should be around we have 7.5 plus 18 and then plus additional 5. Okay, so I'll just transfer that measurement to my waistline. Okay, so I think it gave me around 31 inches. Okay, so either 31 or 30.5 inches. Yeah, I think 30.5 inches. Yeah, so what I'll do is to reduce it by 2 inches. So I went in by 2 inches, giving me around 28.5 inches. Okay, so I'll go ahead to link up to connect that point together. Okay, so on the shoulder line I have around 30.5, on the waistline I have around 28.5. so I just minused 2 inches from the total length. Okay, so having done that, I'll go ahead to establish my shoulder slant. So from that line, from the shoulder line, I'll come down by 1.5 inches and then I'll connect it to the neckline. Yeah. So what I simply did next was to measure my place my hip measurements on the hip line, or which is the full length of the blouse, which is quarter of your hip circumference. Your hip circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch ease allowance, and then plus half an inch seam allowance. So we're having your quarter of your hip circumference plus 1 inch ease and then half an inch. So I went ahead to place that measurement, my hip measurement, on my waistline, and then I connected the 2 points like so. Okay, so we're having the hip measurement on the hip line on the full length, and then the same hip measurement on the waistline. I hope we get it. Okay, so if we're not clear about it, you can actually drop your questions in the comment section. Okay, so what I'll simply do next is to link up a curve. Just connect that vertical line linking the waist and the full length of the blouse to the waistline. Okay, so just watch me, you see what I'm doing. So I think that line from that point is about 2.5 inches. Okay, then I simply went ahead to place my seam allowance for my sleeve. Okay, so I'll just connect the 2 points together. Yeah, so this is the seam allowance for the sleeve. So this will enable me to place my elastic. Okay, yeah. So I also go ahead to also place my seam allowance for the shoulder line. I'm very particular about this so that I don't eat into my fabric. And I could have done for the neckline as well, but I still have a lot to do there. So probably when I'm cutting the sleeve on the main fabric, sorry, when I'm cutting the fabric, I'll establish my seam allowance for the neckline. So all these parameters is very important so that you don't eat into your fabric or start having doubts about the accuracy of your project. So guys, I've actually cut out the excess pattern paper, and this is what we have here. Okay, so what I'll simply do next is to trace out the neckline and this vertical line linking the shoulder line and the chest line. Okay, so the reason for this you get to find out after now. Okay, so I'm trying to be sure that the tracing line is clear enough. So if it's not clear, I'll just, repeat it again so that I'll be able to trace out properly. So I'll just open up my pattern. I'll simply open up this pattern like this. And then I'll use my marker to just establish the lines that I traced. Okay, so this is the vertical line linking the shoulder and the chest line, and then I'll go ahead to establish the other part of the neckline. Okay, okay, so this is good. Okay, so this is the neckline. Okay, so I'll just extend the shoulder line. Okay, yeah. So for the asymmetric neckline, for the off shoulder, on the shoulder line there, the vertical line, I'll come down by 3.5. So this is not a standard. So it depending on how you want your shoulder. Okay, so you could also do 2 inches or more. Okay, so on the shoulder line, I'll extend the shoulder line by 1.5 inches. So have in mind that on the vertical line I came down by 3.5 for the off shoulder, and then on the shoulder line you could see the dot there, I went out by 1.5 inches. Okay, so I'll simply connect the neckline to the 3.5 inches mark, as you can see me doing. Okay, I'm trying to place my French curve in such a way that it will give me exactly what I want. Okay, so I will just connect it like this, and then I'll link it up to the 1.5 inches shoulder extension. Okay, so I'm linking it up now. Okay, so we can now see that our neckline is well established. Okay, so what I'll simply do is to cut out the neckline. Okay, so it's not a difficult task. Okay, so this is our pattern, and we can see the asymmetric neckline so visible on the pattern paper. So I'll go ahead to use this pattern to cut out the main fabric on a spread the way it is. Okay, because the neckline is not symmetrical. Okay, so guys, this is what we have here, and you can see the seam allowance on the neckline. I actually placed my fabric on fold, as you can see. Okay, so what I'll simply do next is to cut out a facing for the neckline. Okay, so I don't have a tutorial on how to cut a facing, so you can watch this more. Maybe I could do that later. Okay, so I will just place this underneath this, and then I'll carve out the neckline on the piece of fabric I kept underneath the pattern. Okay, so just watch me, you get to understand the process. Okay, so after tracing it out, I will just cut it out. Okay, so I'll just attach the facing to the neckline of the front and the back panel. Okay, yeah, so this is it. I actually gave this fabric a very good press because it was a bit rumpled, and then I went ahead to cover the raw edges. Okay, the rough edges rather, on the lower part of the blouse, as you can see. So I used the double fold for this. Okay, and this is the facing, like I explained earlier. I went ahead to also attach the facing, and then I relaxed the seam towards the main fabric. Like they say, this is stitch in the ditch. Yeah, a stitch in the ditch. So this is the facing, and I give it a good press. So you can see how relaxed the neckline is after attaching the facing. Okay, so guys, this is what we have here. Yeah. Okay, so what I'll simply do next, yeah, so this is the asymmetric neckline, so glaring. So what I'll simply do next is to place the front and the back panel right sides facing each other, okay? So I'm going to, after doing this, I'll just close up the sides, okay? So I'll close that by half an inch, and I'll also join the shoulders as well by half an inch. The same allowance is half an inch, okay? So I'll do this off camera and then we get to see what we have, okay? So this is our dress. So after joining, I relax the seam, okay? So this is it, the shoulder seam, okay, for knit finishing. And don't forget to also use an overlocker for your seam, okay, to cover the rough edges of your seam for knit finishing, okay. So what I'll simply do next is to place the elastic for the sleeve, okay. So after folding, I left a little space of about 1 inch or 1.5 inch right there to enable me insert the elastic for my sleeve fitting. So I also did the same for the other side. I folded and then I left a little space for the elastic to insert the elastic for the sleeve. Okay guys, so I'll go ahead and take my the round arm measurement right there where I want the sleeve to stop. So right there I have about 9.5 inches, okay. So as you can see, but I'll be cutting the elastic by 8.75 because I want it to be firm enough around that point, okay. So I went in by 8.75. I cut the elastic by 8.75, okay. Okay, so I'm using my measuring tape to get that. So this is 8.75 and then I'll cut it from there. Please don't mind the noise in the background. My kids are on holidays, okay? Thank you so much for your understanding. So I'll go ahead to cut this out and then I'll use this measurement to cut out the other one. So it's going to be 2 elastic, 1 for each sleeve. So having done that, I'll go ahead to use my safety pin to secure the elastic and to enable me insert the elastic into that opening, okay, into the sleeve opening right there. So I'll simply do this and then we'll proceed to the next stage. So I'll go ahead and stitch up that part, okay, then flush it in and then stitch up the opening as well. Okay, so guys, we've come to the end of this tutorial. Let's see how beautiful our dress is looking. And then this is the sleeve. Okay, this is the elastic. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit on that bell icon. Okay, yeah, this is it. Thank you so much. See you guys in my next video, and leave your comments, your opinions in the comment section. Love you guys. Bye.